evening, and I welcome you on behalf of the Sioux Falls League of Women Voters to our annual school board candidate forum. My name is Melanie Bliss, and I will be your moderator tonight. I'm going to take a point of personal privilege for two people to please stand and tell what years you served on the school board. We'll start with here and wherever. Dean, where's Dina? Yes. You'd stand up and tell what years you served. And that's Dick Bowie. Tonight we have a lot of League of Women Voter people here. Our sorters are Mary Stannard and Jan Smith Wood. Would you stand? And they're sorting questions. The timers are Arlene Brandt Jensen and Norman Bliss. And we're having you two look wherever you can see them, okay, because this little thing doesn't let anybody see anything. So those two. The runner is Kelly Henkel Thompson in the back, brand new blood and young blood in the League of Women Voters. We have four candidates running for 2 seats on the Sioux Falls School District School Board, and they are seated tonight in voting ballot order. And on my left, your right, is Elizabeth Duffy, and this is Trish Ringold. Ringold or Ryan?
Ringold.
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 Yes.
Nan Kelly, and this is Thomas Werner. We will run this meeting with a minimum of rules, and we'll try to cover as many questions as possible within this hour and learn more about the candidates' background, their preparedness and ability for service on behalf of the students of the Sioux Falls School District. The rules are civility at all time, no outbursts of noise, no display of signs, and brevity in your answers. The brevity helps us to answer more questions. You are allowed to pass on any question that you cannot answer. Everyone will have a 3-minute opening statement about their self and why they are qualified to serve on the school board. The timers, you can see, will keep time and show 2 cards, 30 seconds, and stop. That means, and we're doing 3 minutes for the opener and 90 seconds for all of the other questions. There's no rebuttals, no follow-ups, and you must stop speaking when the red sign comes up. And you will each have a 90-second closing statement. So that's the opening, and we're going to begin, I think, probably with the first question. It's on the top of the pile.
Or intros?
Oh, the opening, I'm sorry. We won't start with the first question. We're going to start with Elizabeth, and when everybody comes across here, I have a chart to make sure it's very equal. So we'll start out with Elizabeth.
Do we push to talk, or is it just on?
If it's on green,
Is it
you're
on?
good.
If it's
Green is
see,
go.
Nan knows. Okay.
Yeah.
Go.
Green means go. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm Elizabeth Duffy. And first and foremost, what you should know about me is that I'm a mom. My youngest is here tonight, sitting over there. She's a 5th grader at Laura Wilder. My oldest had another commitment and couldn't be here tonight, but she's an 8th grader at Edison. My husband, Ryan, and I, we moved to Sioux Falls about 16 years ago after we graduated from law school together. And I'm an in-house business attorney here in Sioux Falls. And basically what that means is I look at a lot of contracts and I do a lot of problem solving. So as I built my legal career, I was always involved in different nonprofit organizations that support kids and families in Sioux Falls. That includes the Teddy Bear Den, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I'm currently the chair of LSS, of their board of directors. So I'm running for the Sioux Falls School Board to take the next step in service to impact kids and families here in Sioux Falls. I would not have thought that I could do this if I didn't have people encouraging me and people seeing things in me that I maybe didn't see in myself. That's something that I think teachers do for their students every single day. So I really appreciate that, and I try to pay that forward. I attended public school myself, and obviously, like I said, my kids are in public school. And additionally, my mom has been employed by public school systems for most of my life. So my heart is really in our public education system. I think that school members need to have problem-solving abilities, sound judgment, the ability to manage competing priorities, and they have to be someone that you can really trust. And I believe that I've proven that I have all of those things. Our schools are really the heartbeat of our community, and I can think of no better way to support our community than by supporting our schools. I want to make sure that every family has the same positive experiences as my family has had. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity, and I look forward to everyone's questions tonight. Thank you.
Trish.
Good evening. My name is Trish Ringold. I am a mother of 3 children. All of them have gone through the Sioux Falls School District. My oldest graduated from my oldest and my middle child both graduated from Roosevelt. And then my youngest was the second group that graduated from Jefferson, which was very exciting for us to be able to be part of that new school. I am currently a toddler teacher at a local private daycare here in Sioux Falls. I have been in the daycare industry for over 20 years. I do have an associate's degree in criminal justice with an emphasis on juvenile justice. I've always wanted to advocate for children. I've also volunteered with CASA, which is court-appointed special advocates. We are assigned a family who has lost their children. We work with the families, the children, the court system to help try and reunify the families together. I did that for 2.5 years, enjoyed every minute of it. Why I want to run for school board is, as I said, I love to be an advocate for children. They can't, these children can't speak for themselves, and they need someone that's willing to listen to them, their families, and help them get to where they need to be as far as to graduate. They're our future. These children are our future. And as we see Christy Nome, she's a local lady, and now she's running the Department of Homeland Security. So who knows where these children are going to end up when they graduate and go off on their own. So we really need to advocate for them and make sure they get the education they need and the support they need. Thank you all for coming this evening.
Yeah.
Good evening. Before we get started, I just want to again thank the League of Women Voters for creating this space where we can have informed civic dialogue around public education. It's just vital to our democracy. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak alongside of the candidates that are here tonight. So thank you again, League of Women Voters. My name is Nan Kelly, and I am running for re-election because I value public education. I value public education because of the opportunities that it affords all children, regardless of your zip code, your income, your background, no matter what. Public education is there to serve all children. And public education is more than just classrooms. We are developing tomorrow's workforce. So public education is about economic development for the city of Sioux Falls. It's also about quality of life. It is vital, and we are in a partnership with tomorrow, with our future. I can't think of a better use of taxpayer dollars than public education for the reasons that I've just pointed out. It is informing and developing our future leaders. It is also part of the quality of life for Sioux Falls. So it's essential, and it deserves our attention and our funding and our advocacy. I also have the experience. I have been professionally, I worked in government relations for a decade. I also do property management, as well as help with some startup medical technology companies. So I enjoy using my skill set to represent the citizens of Sioux Falls. We're dealing with a budget of $350 million. We are the third largest employer in the city of Sioux Falls with 3,500 employees. And every day we get 24,000 kids that show up ready to learn. And we need to just really start trumpeting what we're doing in public education. 90% of kids in Sioux Falls are receiving a public education. A couple nights ago, we learned we had 19 national merit finalists. That really deserves a clap. We should clap for that. Because we are doing some things right in public education, and we should be excited about that. And I'm excited and hopeful that I can earn your vote and continue to serve the Sioux Falls School District and our community. Thank you.
Thomas?
Can everybody hear me? Good evening. My name is Thomas Werner, and I'm a lifelong resident of Sioux Falls, born and raised here. Grew up down on 18th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue. And part of my passion in life as I was growing up is I lived right between the two hospitals. And so I would hear the ambulances go by my house day in and day out. And one of my lifelong dreams was always to be an ambulance driver and to serve the community. And I fulfilled that dream. I have been an EMT full-time on the streets. That has given me a lot of experience as far as seeing everybody in our district at their best and at their very worst. I have 4 children that are in school. My oldest is at USF. He graduated last year, and he's finishing his freshman year with honors. So very proud of him. He's in Rad Tech. I have one over at Lincoln High School, and I have a middle schooler at Patrick Henry, and my youngest is 4th grade, just finishing up over at Sonia Sotomayor. All of my kids have gone through the Spanish immersion program, which I can't speak highly enough of. It's just a phenomenal program. A big thing about me is I have been able to achieve some very big lofty goals in my life. I am a nationally recognized Eagle Scout, and I'm also a 4th degree black belt. Both of those things are considered a 1% club, to where not everybody can achieve those things. Everybody can achieve those things if they show up every single day and they strive to meet their goals. And that is what I believe that every student in our district can do, is they can meet whatever goal that they set out to. All we have to do is provide them a platform, and they will show up and they will meet those goals. I have also been a mentor. I have been on disaster relief teams such as Team Rubicon. I have helped people out of some pretty horrible situations. I have taught different flag football, and I am also a martial arts instructor. And teaching martial arts instills the values that I will bring to the school board, and that is courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. And especially with that indomitable spirit, that's what I want to instill into our district, is those spirits that'll never be broken. Thank you.
Okay. So now we'll start the questions. First question, very simple. What excites you about the Sioux Falls School District? And we will start with Trish.
What excites me about the Sioux Falls School District? There's so much that encompasses in the school district. It's sports, the sports is always the most important thing to the school. And also, I don't know if this is going to go into another question, but the diversity of the school districts, I would like to see us going into the changes in the school districts is what I'm trying to say. I would love to be able to see the diversity and the changes going back to our basics in our school district. And I'm going to pass on this.
Okay. Nan?
You bet. Well, what I find exciting about education is that it is foundationally a partner in economic growth and strong communities. I mean, when we invest in public schools, we're investing not only in our students, but we're building a skilled workforce. We're attracting businesses and we're supporting families. So to me, it's exciting that we're looking at today's dollars being used for tomorrow in a very foundational, fundamental way. And that is all kids. That impacts our community fundamentally by growing our tax base, which is what we use to fund education, right? Without a working businesses that are, thank you, without businesses that are growing and developing, we wouldn't have the tax base that we need to afford good quality public education. So what excites me is we've got a lot of things that are going right, and we need to just keep that momentum going and to keep focusing on the big issues, such as our revenue and growing that revenue base so that we can continue to grow our schools, increase teacher pay.
Thomas?
What excites me about the Sioux Falls School District is the amount of growth that we have. Being a lifelong resident, I can remember when I was a child and our city was 80,000 people, and then we hit 100,000 people, and then we hit the #1 city in 90 or 92, whatever that was. So I've seen all of that growth and all of that excitement and the diversity and how much we've changed as a society over the years. The biggest thing that excites me also is our tech development. Everybody says that, there was a lot that went through COVID. I was working as a federal contractor for the VA at the time. So I get to see firsthand a lot of the effects of that. I myself am a student right now out at Southeast Tech, and I am pursuing respiratory therapy over there. I am in a program that has a lot of dual credit high school students in it. So I am in a classroom that I get to experience what they're going through. And let me tell you, what these kids have today compared to when I was growing up, it's just amazing. And I can't wait to see how we can further that.
Okay, Jennifer?
Thank you.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
I'll answer to whatever you want to call me.
Elizabeth.
What I am most excited about in Sioux Falls Schools is our community partnerships. Throughout this campaign, I've talked to a lot of people from the community, whether it be the county, the city, just supports in other areas. But the most exciting conversation I've had, and I've been telling everyone about it, is the one that I had with Rebecca Wimmer here at the district, who heads up the community partnerships, and CLC, our community learning centers. And everything that she was talking about in the program that they are building out is so incredibly exciting, because I think not only is it really fun for the kids and to get to do all these different things, because CLC, I don't know if everybody knows, but my daughter goes there, and she just recently had the opportunity to be part of Groove, which is a percussion group that she had not been involved in before, but they came into CLC and allowed kids to have that opportunity and perform and learn how to do it. Oh no, I have way more to talk about. Basically, that CLC model allows all these different organizations from around the city to come in and expose kids to things they wouldn't otherwise get exposed to, which is so incredibly exciting, and in my opinion. And the list goes on and on about how that can play into also the behavior in the classroom. Because if these kids have a place to go after school and they have...
And will you quickly explain the acronym CLC?
Community Learning Center.
Community Learning Center. Thank you. Okay, and we're going to start with Nan. Here is a question about books. There's several questions on books. Should the legislators have the ability to make curriculum decisions? And then should the legislatures have the ability to ban books?
I'm just going to write a couple notes here, okay?
Okay. Should the legislators have the ability to make curriculum decisions and ban books?
Well, I don't know that it's up to us to decide whether they get to have the decision or not to ban books.
Okay, that's valid,
right,
huh?
it is valid. But here's what I will tell you what I do support. So I support transparency in school curriculum and reading materials. Parents deserve to know what their children are learning, and communities should have a voice in ensuring materials reflect age-appropriate, diverse, and accurate perspectives. However, I oppose broad and politically motivated book bans that undermine intellectual freedom and teachers' professionalism. So right now we have a process that's put in place, and that those guidelines come down from the State Department of Education. We have a committee that reviews the books that are in the libraries. That committee is comprised of parents, teachers, and librarians. I think we need to leave it up to our local folks that are doing the work to review the books that are in our library. And at this point, I support what we're doing and the books that our kids are reading. Thank you.
Thomas?
In regards to book bans, I do believe that parents should have a huge input on that. Even if they can't have a voice at a district level, or they feel that they may not be able to, or some of the board members may not feel that they may have enough input to the state. As a parent, I think we need to be held to a high standard that our children need to be able to make some of those decisions, because all through their life, they are going to have opportunities to pick up a book that maybe you don't agree with. And we need to instill in this next generation the ability to think for themselves and to be able to process that while protecting them the best that we can. I know that in my break room at work, for example, there are different religious materials and things like that. I make that decision as to whether or not I'm going to pick that up and read that. And I am a big believer that those decisions should be made on the local level, and I would support that effort.
Jennifer?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
That's fine. Okay, so when it comes to curriculum, the state, how I think of it as the state says the what, and there should really be no surprises there. And then at the local level, we say the how, how are we going to implement this? So that how can really involve some creativity and also community input, I think is very important with our curriculum. As far as books being banned, I would say this is something that, comes up a lot, and you hear from some parents their concerns about this. And I think it's just very important for our kids to be reading. And I think that's where the focus should be. And I'm glad that Nan walked through that process, though, of how things go and how books are chosen. There's a process for getting books out of the libraries if you don't think that they're appropriate. It's not a decision that one person gets to make. There's a process, and we need to follow that policy. I think as a parent, I am much more concerned with what my kids are exposed to on the internet than what they're exposed to in their school libraries. But if parents are concerned, there is a process for that, and then they also are able to reach out to their individual librarians as well to help them work through that and anything that might arise on a case-by-case basis.
Trish?
I agree with Nan when it comes to the state legislature and our curriculum. I don't feel I feel that's kind of like not really the school board's position should be in the curriculum. As far as the book bans, I'm opposed to book bans. A lot of the books that are wanting to be banned, I had mentioned diversity earlier. We are definitely a world of diversity these days, and everything is changing on such a fast pace. And if children want to be introduced to the diversity that's coming into this world, I don't see why we can't have that diversity. I think if kids are just introduced to maybe an interracial couple, just the introduction and making them feel comfortable with that, so they kind of know what that entails. If that's going to make them feel more comfortable and maybe eliminate, I think I'm probably reaching here, but maybe eliminate some hates, at least maybe go in that direction. We could, they need to have that introduction. They need to have that influence in the schools.
Okay, the next one is, if it is true that the district always seeks to hire the best candidates for each position, would you support their efforts to have the makeup of the staff reflect the diversity of our student population? We'll start with Thomas.
I think that our teachers and administrators, principals, are a huge part of our children's lives. I have seen that firsthand. To mandate diversity can be a slippery slope. And the reason why I say that is because the best candidate through the door is who I want teaching my children. It doesn't matter to me personally as a parent what background that person comes from, what color their skin is, what gender they are. That doesn't matter to me. Being part of the Spanish immersion program, all of my children have been educated by teachers that have been brought in from other countries. And that has been phenomenal. I've never had an issue with that. The only downside to that is sometimes they have like visa issues to where they can only stay for a certain period of time, or they can only do a year or two or something like that, compared to long-term faculty members that we see at like our Edisons and Patrick Henrys and things like that. So no matter who they are, I want the best.
Elizabeth.
I agree with Thomas that we should really be hiring the best candidate, no matter what their background is. We should additionally celebrate diversity throughout our schools, like Trish has mentioned a couple of times. I think that's incredibly important. And what I would like to see is more encouragement of students to become teachers, right? All types of students. And then ultimately, maybe our teachers will reflect more of our student population, but I think that's not something that happens overnight. And if we can, I was talking one of the people I talked to throughout this campaign was telling me how it's kind of gone out of fashion to become a teacher at this point, where it used to be something that was really cool and a lot of kids wanted to do it, and now everybody wants to be a YouTuber, right? So how can we talk to our teachers and amplify their voices about why did they become teachers? What made them want to get involved? And really drive up that interest amongst all of our students.
Trish?
I'm going to agree with the other two. In my opinion, diversity doesn't matter. We want the teachers in here who are going to make a difference in our children's lives, who's going to give them the best education so they can be successful in the future. Obviously, I would love to see diversity, but if someone doesn't want to be a teacher, we can't make them be a teacher. And I guess that's it. I want to see the people who are educated and love children and want to see our children succeed. Because as I stated before, they are our future and we need them to succeed in our schools.
Nan?
We hire the best candidates. What I will say is we need to keep the best candidates. That's the issue. We need to keep the teachers in the classroom. How are we going to do that? Number one, we need to be paying teachers fairly. Number two, we need to give educators the time and the tools to do their jobs. And number three, we need to support them. They need our support. And it's critically important. So we hire the best candidates and we want to keep them in the classroom. And a way to do that is increasing the teacher pay, giving them the time they need in the classroom with the proper tools. And number three, our support as a community. I will say a few years ago when I co-chaired the bond referendum that brought forth the $190 million bond referendum, of those people from the community that showed up to vote, we had 85% approval rate. That speaks something about Sioux Falls. 90% of our children are in public education. We need to keep the teachers in the classroom. They're the ones that are working hand in hand with us to see the outcomes through that we set, and that informs the budget that we put out, right? And so that partnership in keeping the qualified teachers in the classroom is the heart of what we need to be focused on. And we're doing that, and we need to increase it. We had, this time last year, we had over 60 openings in the district. We've closed that down to today, we have 26 openings.
You're done. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, this is a different kind of a question. Please, please share 3 words that describe your own communication style and ability to work with others who may have differing viewpoints. Yeah, let's see, we're starting in with Thomas.
3 words that would define my communication style. Number 1 is going to be transparency. I want everyone to feel open, to be able to ask questions and to question what is going on and the whys and the hows. I also want to show a great deal of patience, because a lot of times when we deal with situations as parents, a lot of those things can be very emotionally charged. And that is a big thing to remember. One of the rules that I live by as a coach, as a parent and everything else is I have a 24-hour rule. So if I'm at a cheer event for my daughter and something doesn't go the way that I want it, I allow myself 24 hours to cool down, think rationally before I address that situation, before I send that email, before I, make that phone call. So the last thing that I would say as far as my 3rd word of communication is just going to be trustworthy. I will always tell you the most realistic answer that there is. If there's something that I don't know, I will openly say, you know what, I'm not versed in that topic, but the next time you talk to me, I will have the answer for you. And that's what I can promise you.
Nan?
The 3 words that describe me: number 1, approachable; number 2, listen to understand; and number 3, take action. So I've learned how to advocate, negotiate, and move policy forward in my work in government relations and my work on the school board. I understand how decisions are made at the local, state, and federal level. And I know how to make sure that our district voice gets heard.
Trish?
My first word would be transparency. We need 100% transparency when it comes to these children and their families and any concerns they may bring to the school board or to the school districts. Honesty. We need to be honest with families, with parents, with the children. If there's no honesty, then we can't really have a good open dialogue communication with anybody. And then the most important is being a good listener. If we don't understand what is being brought to us, we don't know how to handle the situation. If it's a question, if it's a policy that someone wants to look at, we need to be able to understand what we're being asked or what's being said to us, so we can go to them and we can give them the answers that they really want.
Elizabeth?
The 3 words that I'll use is assume good intent. So that's kind of where I try to start off any communications, especially when I'm talking to somebody that I ultimately may not agree with, or I know we might have different perspectives on things. So I think if we start on that same side of the table and we're assuming good intent from the other person, while we might not come to complete agreement, we're going to be able to come to a problem from a collaborative perspective and really look at solutions that might get us a little bit closer together and a little bit closer to our goal of supporting kids, supporting teachers, making sure that everything that's happening in our schools is for the betterment of our community.
Okay. Next one, we'll start with Nan. Do you see any need for changes in school board policies regarding special education? If so, what changes do you recommend?
It's an interesting question. What I think is in front of us, and I'm going to talk about an elephant in the room, and that's the U.S. Department of Education, the dismantling of the U.S. Department of Education and the block grants that specifically go towards special education. At this point, I'm not familiar of a policy directed to special education right here within our Sioux Falls School District. We have a policy committee that reviews those policies. We have parents that are involved. So we have our meetings, and they're open to public comment at the beginning of the meeting. So if there's specific policy that we want to talk about or deal with, I'd open that up to conversation. But I think a real issue each of us should be focused on is the dismantling of the U.S. Department of Education and the block grants that are specific to special education, Title I, and our rural school districts. We need to be aware of that, those dollars going to the state level, with hopes that ultimately it does get to the local level. Thank you.
Trish?
I'm going to 100% agree with Nan on this one. When it comes to policy, totally, that's something, an open door discussion. I will absolutely reiterate the dismantling of the Department of Education, I think will be detrimental to a lot of our, a lot of things that go on inside the school district, including the special education. I know that's a lot of funding comes from the Department of Education when it comes to special education. And I know there's been some talk about other states that have integrated special education students into the everyday classrooms, and where I do feel that that is a positive. We do still need that funding for special education. And I think that's where the focus needs to be at this moment in time.
Excuse me, Elizabeth.
I will agree with what others have said. Really, our focus should be on what's going to happen if the Department of Education is dismantled and is no longer in existence. Really, right now, we have more questions than answers. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think as a school board, we have to be ready for it. We have to review our policies and make sure that we're anticipating the possibilities of what could come down. Because when I hope that most people are starting to understand, with more and more information coming out about the Department of Education in general, that the Department of Education isn't there to educate students. But one of the very important things that it does is funds kids with special education. So we need to focus on maintaining those funds, whether or not the Department of Education is there, and with all the unknowns that there are, and being in communication with the State Department of Education so that we can try to have, game plan A, B, C, D, and E, depending on what happens at the federal level.
Okay, here's one that is interesting. Again,
Thomas.
Oh, Thomas.
Thomas. I didn't mean to, I'm sorry.
I didn't wander out.
They're on top of things out here.
I know they are. I'm going to take a little different approach to this answer. And right now, everybody's talking about the Department of Education and things like that. And I think there's too many unknowns to say, okay, what are we going to do about policy changes? I think we need to establish the standard of what we are going to do. And I think the biggest part of that is I think that we need to set a standard that we are not going to compromise in our needs of our special education program. And we need to turn to more of a solution-based mindset to that. I have had the honor of teaching martial arts to many different challenges, being ADHD, Asperger's, physical disablements. And I tell you what, every time I work with one of those students, it's never the same solution. I have to find what works for them. The biggest way that we're going to do that is we need to retain those special education teachers and keep those relationships going with that teacher and that student.
We'll start with Trish on this one. How many schools in the Sioux Falls School District have you visited?
Well, not counting my own children's schools, I have been to a few. I was brought a question, and the question that was asked of me was, with Harrisburg, Sioux Falls, and Brandon all being so close together, what would I think about combining the school districts? I never thought about that question, and this made me go to, on the west side of town, there is it the Brandon Elementary and a Sioux Falls Middle School that's right across the street from each other. I did go to them and I asked them, how is this working? Is it cohesive of each other? Because we're gonna, over on the west side of town, we also have we have a T school that's right just on the other side of T. Ellis Road. Is this working? And this question that was brought to made me go to these other schools. Is this something that we need to look at? No, it's gonna be, I think the school district would be just way too big if we combined all these schools. But that made me go to these other schools and ask the administrators how these are working, having all these school districts right here next to each other as Sioux Falls grows, as Harrisburg grows, and as T grows.
Elizabeth.
I don't have a specific number, but I think I've been to a lot of schools, but not just for for sports and activities for my kids and different events that might be going on. I don't think I've had the opportunity to really tour that many schools or had, you know, anything like that going on. So I don't think I have been to as many as I would certainly like to be. And one of the things that I didn't realize when I started this campaign and what I've learned in the meantime is that 4 of our elementary schools actually have medical clinics in them. That's something that my kids' school doesn't have. And so I wasn't aware that that was happening at 4 of the elementary schools. And another thing that I didn't know was happening is the Delta Dental bus goes to our Title I schools twice a year, and they can do everything on that bus from just a checkup to actual root canals and things like that. So I think, you know, we have incredible resources at all of our schools, and I look forward to getting to know each school more individually and really learning about the incredible programs that are going on.
Thomas?
I also don't have an exact number of the number of schools that I've been to. I know I've been to all of the high schools and middle schools. There's a lot of elementary schools. I can't say that I've been to all of them. One of the things that I would say that excites me about all of our different locations that we have, though, is just the heritage behind all of that. I mean, I grew up in Longfellow Elementary School, one of the oldest schools in the state, which has now been, you know, rehabbed for other purposes. And then we have the brand new schools like Jefferson and all of those. And let me tell you, those facilities are just phenomenal. You know, my biggest thing with whatever facility that students are at is they need the same opportunities and they need to be fair for everyone. They need to have the same technology. They need to have the same sports programs. And no matter what background or diversity that a student comes from, no matter what our school buildings are, they all need to have the same opportunities. And that's the biggest thing that I look at. I've been a single parent for a very long time, and I've been to those clinics and things like that myself. And all of those things really help the average family.
Okay, we'll start with Elizabeth on this one.
I get an
forgot
answer
you.
too.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Number 4 is Nan.
This is kind of an unfair question because I've been in probably most of the schools, I'll be honest. But what you maybe want to know more is I've worked in the schools as a mentor, substitute teacher. I've been PTO president. I've helped with the President's Bowl, Howard Wood Relays. I'm excited, and what I want all of you to know is we have excellent facilities. We have great schools. We have safe classrooms. And we give an opportunity to any child that shows up at our door to get a good quality education. And something that you might not realize is that part of our district is the Southeast Technical College. And we have with us tonight Dick Bowie. Dick Bowie was foundationally important in taking instruction that was going on at Sanford, at that time Sioux Valley Hospital, and he can correct me if I'm wrong with any of this, and he had the wherewithal and the presence of mind to turn that into a community technical college. We have wait lists of students that want to get into our programs there. They are driving economic development and the workforce in this region, and we should be thankful for Dick Bowie and his vision and several others, but he did a lot of work to make that happen. And that's an important classroom and school in a sense for all of us to go and visit. So thank you, Dick, for the work that you've done.
This one will start with Elizabeth. How many school board meetings have you attended? How big is the Sioux Falls School District budget? And do you agree or disagree with the rules on use of cell phones at school?
That is not one question.
It's all,
Three questions.
it's 4 little ones, or 3 little ones.
Okay. I have had the pleasure of watching so many school board meetings online. I really take advantage of the great videos that they have, and you can watch work sessions. I've been following all the budget discussions there and been meeting with administration, and Todd Veek, the business manager, walked me through all the budget changes. I just met with Dr. Nold earlier this week to discuss the cuts coming up, and that's what I'm prepared for, not how many meetings I've been to, but I appreciate it. I believe the budget is, Nan said it earlier, $350 million. It's a large budget and certainly bigger than any that I've been part of dealing with. I thought that the LSS budget was pretty substantial, which it is, but not anything near what the school district does. And that's what takes so many people to work through that budget and to find those dollars that we need to save in our budget cuts coming up this year and the following years. Cell phones. I think ultimately what they've come up with, it was really well thought out. There was a survey that was done that garnered about 12,000 responses from parents, from teachers, from administrators. Oh.
Okay, Thomas?
Well, as far as the budget size, that answer's kind of already been let out of the bag, so to speak. School board meetings, I love today's technology of being able to view things online. I myself have tracked many issues through the utilization of those tools. I stay very, very busy with a lot of different things, and I love the flexibility that, hey, I've got an extra hour, I can jump on, I can see this, and I fully support those efforts. As far as cell phones in schools, as a parent myself, I allow my children to have cell phones. My 4th grader, my 6th grader, they both have them. And I trust that I instill the right training with them as far as them being able to know what's appropriate and what isn't and things like that, and to make sure that it's not a distraction. I love the ability of Life 360 to where one of my children walks to school. So I know when they've left the house, I know when they get to school, I know when they leave school, I know when they get home, and that gives me peace of mind. Being a first responder, I have been in the ambulance when we've had crisis situations at our schools, and just being able to pull up a child's location or something like that is important to me.
Well, it's been an honor and a privilege to represent you all for the last 6 years at our board meetings. So I've been at this for a while. Our budget is $350 million. We serve 24,000 kids. That's 90% of the kids in Sioux Falls are getting a public education. Our staff we are the 3rd largest employer in the city of Sioux Falls at 3,400 people, some of which are in the audience tonight. So thank you for being here. Cell phones. Indeed, we had a survey. The survey was teachers, parents, students, and what we found and what was reported back to us and how the committee looked at it based upon that feedback, as well as what research is showing. Kindergarten through 5th grade, no cell phones. Middle school, no cell phones during school time. High school, no cell phones except for lunch. Research shows, and what they found, it's not conducive for a learning environment. If parents need to get a hold of their children, they can call the office, and kids can, before and after school, check their cell phones.
Trish?
I feel like I'm at an unfair advantage here going after Nan. Obviously, we know the school board budget is $350 million. Cell phones, I agree with what the research has shown and the surveys has come back. I don't think children need to have cell phones in the school. They need to focus on their education. And as she stated, I mean, you can check your phones before school, you can check your phones at lunch, after school. if a parent needs to get a hold of a student, there's the office phones. I remember when we had that shooting back down in Harrisburg, I was working, and the first thing I wanted to do was call and make sure my daughter was okay. Because that's close to Sioux Falls. She didn't go, none of my kids went to Harrisburg, but that's close to Sioux Falls. You want to check, you want to make sure everybody's okay. Call the office, let them know. I know they can get messages to children. I've had messages come, I've left messages with the office, and they have gotten the messages to my children, and they've been able to call back. So I don't see for any reason why there would need to be cell phones in schools.
For the 8th question, we'll start with Elizabeth. And
I started with the last one. Is that?
I think that's where I am.
Okay.
Okay. What is your opinion of the South Dakota legislature's actions on 2025 education legislation?
I'm never going to answer this question in time. That's certainly true. I think, you know, what I'll say is that I think we need to be collaborating with our state legislators starting now, starting this summer, you know, well in advance of the legislative session. And I think going back to what I said before about assuming positive intent, assuming good intent from others, I think we need to do that for our legislators and assume that they're well-intentioned and that they're coming to the table with the right thoughts in mind, but maybe they just haven't seen things from the perspective of public education. Maybe they don't understand how valuable and critical our schools are to our communities and our way of life here in South Dakota, and how what happens in Sioux Falls schools affects not only Sioux Falls, but affects the entire state. So I think getting in front of our legislators, building those one-on-one relationships with our legislators ahead of session so that we can head off anything that puts us in a defensive position as a school district, and we can really work together to make sure that our teachers are paid fairly, that the school districts are getting the funds that they've been, that they should under state law.
Trish?
When it comes to the legislature and our school districts, I go back to the Department of Education and the funding of the Department of Education. We get $300 million from federal funds in the school districts this year. And that's a tremendous amount of money to try and make up that we won't be.
Excuse me, but that is not true.
I'm sorry?
It's not 350 million of federal funds.
Oh, that's what,
10% of the budget, of the 350 million, 10% is from federal.
okay, maybe I misread it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
10,
I
a very
apologize.
small portion.
It's still a huge portion that we need to come up with if the Department of Education is shut down. So we need to be in touch with those legislatures, and we need to have that relationship with them so we can go to them and bring our concerns to them. That's all I got.
Nan?
Melanie, what was the bill number? Do you remember? Could you repeat the
No.
question?
It's not a bill. What is your opinion of the South Dakota legislature's actions on 2025 education?
Okay, just 2020 in general. Okay, I thought when I heard 2025, I thought it was at one of the legislative bills. So I wanted to answer it with specificity if that's what it was requiring. Well, in general, one of the larger issues that got a lot of publicity was the use of taxpayer dollars to fund or to be put in the form of vouchers that could be used to fund private education. I don't support that. I don't support it because public education does not have the same oversight that we are required to have in using taxpayer dollars. Number one. Number two, private schools do not have to educate all children. They can pick and choose who they're educating. Number three, see what do I want is significant of number three. If we cannot use taxpayer dollars to fund public or private education. It's just simply put. It will create divisions in our community that get to the point of there are either the haves or the have-nots with education, and it does not have the same oversight that we are required to have and transparency in using taxpayer dollars. Trying to make it really basic, and I hope I did.
Thomas?
I think the biggest thing that we saw with the 2025 legislative session is we did see some wins, we did see some losses on some things that the existing school board supported. In the aftermath of that, when you look at the meeting that followed it and the debrief and those types of things, there was a pretty large display of frustration. And honestly, that is the reason why I'm here and why I'm running, is because I saw that level of frustration that was displayed, and it really ignited a fire within me, because I know that I can make a difference. I have run for South Dakota House before, and having gone through that process and getting to know a lot of the legislators and kind of their thought process and how they think and how they process things and things like that, I think that would be a big, strong, valuable asset for what I bring to the table as far as being able to bridge that gap and to really have those hard conversations for what needs to be done for Sioux Falls.
Okay. I am very sorry that we're out of time for questions. There are 9 or 10 deep ones ranging from the 10 Commandments to sacrifices, funding things, vouchers, public's perceptions of the school district, what are your priorities, and what can you do to increase voter turnout for school board elections? Not a bond election, but a school board election. So you have 90 seconds. We'll start with Thomas, because you started first, so we'll go with you for a closing.
Okay.
And whatever you want to say.
To address a couple of those other questions, rather than just talking about me, let's talk about a couple of things very quickly. As far as like the 10 Commandments are concerned, a lot of people have a lot of issue with being able to display religious artifacts and things like that. For me, if those same things were relabeled and labeled and called the tenets of life or something like that, a lot of those values are in our law system today, to where, if you go to the grocery store and you steal something, you're going to get prosecuted, and et cetera, et cetera. Voter turnout, I would love to see voter turnout. And actually, I'm very excited for the change of bringing the elections to a primary or a general date. That is going to naturally bring a higher turnout. And let's put that decision in as many hands as possible. And I just ask for your vote in a couple weeks here. It's going to be exciting. I think all of the candidates on the panel here, no matter who is voted in, I think we're all going to do a good job for you. And I just ask for that opportunity. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would just pause and really think through if we want to run local elections in tandem with the national elections. My fear with that is the expense of it, number one. Number two, that the voice of what's happening locally gets lost, of it getting lost. But I'm running because I believe in education, not as a system, but as a promise that every child, regardless of their background, has the right to learn, to grow, and to succeed. I understand the challenges our schools face, from teacher shortages and classroom behavior to funding concerns, policy shifts, but I also see the strength in our education and our educators, the potential in our students, and the power of a community that cares about public education. I bring not just a commitment, but clarity. I know that public education is essential to our quality of life and to economic development and our shared future together. One of the best investments that we can make as a society right now is investing in public education. It's just as important as clean air, roads, clean water. It's foundationally and fundamentally important to the success of Sioux Falls and to South Dakota. I hope I've earned your vote. Thanks for coming tonight.
Trish?
I would also like to thank you all for coming today. I am running for school board because the children are our future. We have, as I've mentioned, you know, they're going to be in our local community and our state level and our federal level. We need to make sure that they are getting the education they need and they deserve to help our country grow from where we are. As far as the voter turnouts, I am always so sad when I see our local government doesn't get the voter turnout that we need. Especially this year, the school board is the only thing on the ballot this year, so it's going to be even worse. Just make sure you guys are getting the word out. Make sure you're sharing all of our articles that have been on Dakota Scout, on KELOLAND, everybody that's interviewed us. Make sure you're sharing those on social media. You know, ask the tough questions with the people. You know, have those hard conversations, because these conversations are never easy to have with our community members, and have those. Make sure they know that May 13th is the day that, you know, it's for our children. It's for our future. Get out there and have, make sure everybody's voting. If someone needs a ride, let me know. I will give you a ride to the voting precincts.
Good.
So I'm going to assume positive intent one more time tonight and say that I think we all, if all of you are here, I think we have a common goal of creating better opportunities and outcomes for all of the children in Sioux Falls. And to be fair, not every problem or issue is within the purview of the school board, but let's find what is, and let's do whatever we can to get it right. What you'll find with me, what you'll get with me, is the mind of an attorney, which means that I'll be able to see problems from multiple perspectives. I'll research issues thoroughly and accurately. I'm resourceful and I'm trustworthy. I have the heart of a mother. I believe our public schools are the best choice for my kids. And I also care about each child having those same positive experiences in our schools. And then you also get the experience of a business person. I have sound judgment. I manage ever-changing priorities on a daily basis. And I'm pretty good at developing collaborative relationships with various types of stakeholders. So I'm asking you to vote Duffy so I can use my skills and experience in service to the Sioux Falls School District. Thanks for coming tonight.
So this is a sample of the ballot. And how many people can you vote for school board? This is the most educated people that I've seen. Everybody comes up to me, what one person do you want to vote for? There are 2 openings. Please, please tell that. The League of Women Voters encourages you to vote and to please take 11 friends along to vote. Find your voting center from the school district website. These are not your usual voting places, near to where you work or live, and you can always vote at the IPC. For new people to town, you go to Hy-Vee and you go behind the road to Hy-Vee and you're at IPC. If you're interested in knowing about the League of Women Voters, ask anyone that's here tonight and sign up for more information. The future well-being of our children depends on all of us to invest in our most important resource, our children. Good night and good luck from Edward R. Murrow. So thank you. feel free to please talk to people because they'll talk to you. Answer any questions.